What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got actual proper release dates. Not just, incidentally, for your classic collection, which of course we were very much expecting, but we've also got release dates for new adventure. And if I'm remembering this correctly, and please do correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong about this, but I'm fairly sure it was Next Adventure over in Japan. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, look, it's a very small thing, right? It's a very small thing. But it's been listed as Next Adventure on the pre-orders everywhere. And all of the Japanese sites have always been calling it Next Adventure. They've sneakily changed the name to New Adventure. Now, there is a tiny outside chance that this is a typo on the part of Digimon. Because let's not forget the BT8 is called New Hero, and I suppose it is theoretically possible that they did get the two mixed up, but come on, let's not assume that's actually happened. So it seems like, and it's weird, I see a bunch of people here who are posting about the release dates, etc. Nobody seems to have noticed the name change. And maybe it's me, maybe it's not that important, maybe it's not that big a deal, but to me, you're changing the name? That seems pretty big to me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just putting it out there, right? That seems pretty gosh darn big. And obviously, New Adventure, Next Adventure, I know there's subtle differences in the terminology, blah, blah, blah. They essentially mean the same thing. It's not really that big a deal. But, I mean, the only other time they've changed the name of the set was back in BT5 when they changed it from Battle of Omega to Battle of Omni. Now that actually made perfect sense because Omnimon is known as Omegamon over in Japan, so it should have been Battle of Omega over there and Battle of Omni over here because it's the Omnimon or Omegamon focused set. But of course, the whole point is, the Japanese pack has got Battle of Omega in front of the Greek letter Omega, and then over here you've got Battle of Omni in front of the Greek letter Omega. Doesn't have the same kind of pop. So, I know these are very subtle changes, but as someone who's a complete and utter nerd and fascinated by every part of the Digimon TCG, this seems kind of interesting. Not really the point of the video, of course, but still something I found absolutely fascinating. So release dates then, what's going on? Well, obviously the big news at the moment is EX1. EX1 is the big thing, that is the new set, etc. And it's kind of interesting because we were told it was going to be delayed in the UK. We were told there were going to be a bunch of delays. A bunch of shops have already had it and put it up for sale, so I don't really know what's going on here, if I'm honest with you. But it seems to be out in the UK, Europe, etc. The US, I know you've had a bit of a short thrift in terms of not having this, and I'm very sorry. I know it's a little bit sad. All I can tell you is, it has a confirmed release date of January the 7th. And what we're told here, and there's no caveat, there's no little star, we are told on the official post on the Digimon Card Game English version Facebook page, North America, January the 7th. Simple as that. Now, that is interesting because the other day when we were told about delays, etc., we were told that there might not be a consistent release around the US because of various issues, and there was a little bit of a note that it might not actually be complete everywhere. It was listed as January 2022, but there were notes with, for instance, a starter decks that the full shipments might not be there until the end of December. Now, they never actually said that for the Digimon Classic Collection, and it does seem like we have a proper, confirmed, US-wide release date of January the 7th, which puts you around about a month behind the UK and Europe and all of that. Pretty much exactly, it was December the 10th in Europe. And on the one hand, yes, that is a little bit sad. No one's arguing it isn't. But actually, it's coming out. And it's going to be there. And even if it's out in Europe, the webcam tournaments are geographically locked, so you're not going to be competing against people who do have the cards, so it's really not going to be that much of an issue. It's coming out on January the 7th. The gift box, which looks pretty gosh darned awesome, that has also been given a release date. Now, in Europe and Oceania, it is listed as December the 10th, and in North America, it is listed as 1 week later on December the 17th. Now, this is, of course, extremely interesting, because remember, the only packs in the gift box are the Classic Collection packs. And the Classic Collection itself is not out until January. So this is an opportunity for you guys in North America to actually get hold of the Classic Collection before the booster boxes as a whole are released. And we are given a list of shops where it's going to be available. In North America, you're going to have Walmart, Target, GameStop, and Meijer. In Europe, we've got Smith's, Waterstones, Media Market, and Saturn. And in Oceania, you've got EB Games and Zing Pop Culture. To answer the litany of questions from people who, really, can we not just be happy they're coming out? Do we have to moan about everything? I don't know why it's not available in other shops. In fact, yes, I do. There are 2 reasons why it is not available in other shops. Reason number 1, that shop is not big enough to worry about, and I know that sounds really mean, but you'll notice that the number of stores are quite low, and frankly, in the UK, 2 of the big stores you would buy trading cards from are Smiths and Waterstones. It makes perfect sense. Or it's because they couldn't get the contract worked out. How come it's in GameStop in North America but not in other countries? Because they couldn't figure out the contract. And I don't know why they couldn't figure out the contract. Haven't seen the contract, wasn't in the meetings. But it's as simple as that. They have managed to find a bunch of stores that will run it and will give them good contractual terms. It's nothing more exciting than that, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't. So if you're worried about that, don't worry. It's all good. And then we have a confirmed release date for Next Adventure, which has a worldwide release of February the 18th, with a pre-release on February the 11th. Pre-release being 1 week before is about right. And that's where you get your pre-release stamped cards. There'll be some pre-release promos, one for participants and one for the winner. We don't have those yet. Obviously, when they are revealed, I will bring you a video talking all about that. But that's what's going on with Next Adventure. And we know Next Adventure. We've had, New Adventure. I've called it Next Adventure for months, all right? This is going to take some getting used to. And I like this. I like the worldwide release date. Because people in the US, and I understand this incidentally, I get where you're coming from. People in the US right now are thinking, well, hang on a second. We got BT6 a bit late, and then we're getting EX1 a bit late. Do you just not care about us? And the answer is obviously, of course they care about you. The US is, I would imagine, I'd be stunned if it wasn't, the biggest non-Japanese market for the game. But it's also geographically huge. And the numbers in terms of what they need to make and get sent over are much larger. And the logistics are much more awkward because of the aforementioned hugeness of the country. And the fact of the matter is there are challenges getting it out to the US. That's why it's been delayed the last couple of sets. But this is clearly not an ongoing thing. Bandai are very obviously trying to make sure they've got worldwide releases. And this is pretty gosh darned awesome, to be honest with you. But it does make me think, what is that doing to the release schedule? Now, if we take EX01 out, which I think is fair, incidentally, because that's a special set doing its own thing, we saw Battle of Omni at the beginning of August, Double Diamond at the beginning of October, although that was not necessarily the case in the US, I'm aware, and then we saw, or we're going to see, New Adventure in the middle of February. And that's a little bit weird. But it's actually not. Because you see, that gives us a 3-month gap. Now, I know there's not actually a 3-month gap anywhere to be seen. I am aware that there is a 2-month gap between Battle of Omni and Double Diamond, and then a 4-month gap between Double Diamond and New Adventure, but that averages out to a 3-month gap. And we all know that with the damn panic and Christmas and all of that, it's been awkward trying to produce and get these cards out there. And this makes sense. I showed you the Japanese release schedule the other day, and it is every 3 months. They have settled into, again, taking the EX sets out, they have settled into a February, May, August, November release schedule. That seems to be what we're doing here, and interestingly would leave us 6 months and 2 sets behind Japan pretty much at all times. Japan is getting BT9 at the end of February, and we're getting BT7 in the middle of February. And I've been saying all the way along, just like we see with Pokemon, we are probably going to settle into a nice rhythm with regular releases where we are a set amount behind Japan. Now, I will admit it's a little bit weird. 6 months seems like a lot. I would have expected more like 3 months, and maybe we will shorten the gap in the future. I can't tell you one way or the other. But it certainly does seem like we're falling into a something like 3 months between releases release schedule, just like Japan, but 2 sets behind. For anyone that's wondering, we are getting EX01 about 5 months after Japan. That came out at the end of July 2021 this year. So we're talking somewhere in the region of about 5 months behind. Again, with the staggered release dates, it's a little bit awkward. So there we go. We've got news of an official release date for New Adventure, a potential name change, albeit pretty gosh darn subtle, and a little bit of an updated look at the release schedule to see exactly what's happening, though I am going to bring you a proper release schedule in the not too distant future. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how excited you are for New Hero, because we've seen the set over in Japan, of course. I want to know anything you want to tell me, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.